Hi, everyone. Welcome again to Ivy English. I'm Bruce.
I'm Angela.
And I'm Wesley.
Well, July 5th today. Summer has its good points and some other points that are a little bit too much for many people, including myself.
I would like to point out that sweating is good for you.
Yes.
In a sense.
In limited quantities. Dehydrating levels of sweat, however.
Too much of anything is not a good thing.
Just drink a lot of water.
And speaking of water, look at this. Our title today is Does Water Expire?
我们的中文标题是什么？水有寿命。好，那这个 expire 就是过期啊，或者是过的赏味期限。
But expire can also mean to die.
啊，它也可以表示死亡。
So be careful how you use the verb.
Well, you remember it like this. If you don't drink water, you expire.
Oh, excellent. Good example. All right, let me read through, what do we have here? 3 paragraphs, and then we go back, as we always do, sentence by sentence in both English and Chinese. When it comes to food products, it is always important to check the expiration date before you eat or drink. In the United States, every food product is required by law to have an expiration date written on its packaging. There was even once an expiration date printed on bottled water. However, the law requiring this later changed, but the questions still remain. Can water expire? Isn't water always safe to drink? While there is no technical expiration date for water, the issue of it being unsafe to drink stems from its method of storage. If stored properly in a sanitized container, tap water normally can be kept for up to 6 months. The situation of water stored in plastic bottles might differ a little, though. It is necessary to refer to the label and not drink it beyond its expiration date. This is because the plastic can leak into the water and contaminate it with chemicals. If one regularly consumes plastic-polluted water, it can impact one's well-being by harming gut health, immunity, and respiratory functions. In order to prevent any bacterial growth or chemical buildup in plastic water bottles, it is best to keep them out of warm places that get a lot of sunlight. Heat allows bacteria to grow and chemicals to escape into the water. Placing water bottles out of direct sunlight in a cool area is a healthy storage technique. Plastic bottles are also permeable, meaning substances from the outside are able to go through the plastic. With this piece of information in mind, it is safer to store water away from cleaning supplies and other chemical products. If the water has developed a strange look, taste, or smell, you should either boil it before drinking or discard it.
Okay, so when it comes to food products, when it comes to products that are edible, that are meant for people to eat, it is always important to check the expiration date before you eat or drink. So we talked about in the title, we said, does water expire? Expire is the verb form and expiration is the noun form. So the expiration date is the date on which the water expires.
OK, 好，所以我们一开始讲到 when it comes to， 就如果我们谈到 food products， 就是食物的产品，那 it is always important to， 好，那这个 it 就是代表后面 to do something， 这个很重要，所以这个 it is always important to 就是这件事永远很重要。什么事呢？就是你要 check 这个 expiration date。好，那这 expiration 就是前面的 expire 这个动词的名词，所以 the expiration date 就是过期日。好，那其实 expire 这个是它的字根啊，那个 P-I-R-E 是 breathe 呼气的意思，那 E-X 是 out。所以刚刚 Bruce 老师讲，这个字也可以表示死亡，因为你最后一口气吐出来了，就没气了。好，然后呢，过期也是一样，你本来一直活着，一直呼吸然后时间到了不行了，最后一口气吐出来了就过期了啊！你这样去记这个字就很容易记了。 好，所以呢，你要检查一下这个过期日 before you eat or drink 因为这个是 food products， 它可能是用来喝的，可能用来吃的，所以你吃跟喝之前很重要，一定要看看过期日。
Continuing, in the United States, every food product is required by law to have an expiration date written on its packaging. I'm sure you've noticed this if you buy any drink, any soda or snack food, or in the supermarket. All food and drinking products are labeled according to the date by which you should consume or use the contents of the package.
所以在美国呢 every food product 每一个食物的产品呢 is required by law to do something. 当我们说is required by law to 就是表示依法必须的意思。所以在美国每一样或者每一种的食物产品呢依法必须要 have 就是有要有一个 expiration date 一个过期日。那这个要怎么样呢 have something written 就是一定要写下这个东西。好，那 written 在这里不一定是用手写它也可以表示 printed 的意思就是你一定要有这个资料就对了。好，所以一定要把这个过期日有这个资料你要写在或者印在它的产品的 packaging 包装上面。
There was even once an expiration date printed on bottled water. So this even here is emphasizing that this really did happen, even though it's no longer true. We're emphasizing that this happened. So there was even once an expiration date printed on bottled water. So water also did have this expiration date. You notice I just used did to emphasize that it did have this. So those are the two ways you can emphasize that something's true.
好，所以呢这个地方讲到 there was even 它有点强调甚至于 once 有一度 an expiration date 是怎么样 printed on bottled water. Bottled water 就是瓶装水所以这个 printed on bottled water 它前面省略 that was 就是 an expiration date that was printed on bottled water. 然后另外一点注意一下刚刚这个Angela 老师讲说他这里用 even 来强调，那你也可以说it did have an expiration date printed on it 那这样子也可以强调。
However, but the law requiring this later changed. Now, we just mentioned about once something was true. Now we have, however, things have changed, and that's what this next sentence talks about. The law requiring this, requiring that bottled water have expiration dates printed on them, was changed at a later time, but the questions still remain. Can water expire? Can it go bad? Isn't water always safe to drink? We think of water as not just something good but and healthful, but something that just stays the same, never changes, and so you shouldn't have to worry about it going bad like vegetables or meat.
好，但是呢 the law requiring this 就修饰那个的 law， 那个 this 就是指说瓶装水上面要印有效期限所以规定要印有效期限这一条法律呢 later 后来 changed 被改变了或他自己改变了，或当然他是被改变的但是呢 the questions still remain 但是呢这些问题仍然存在 still remain 那这个 questions 是加了 s 所以呢表示它是复数的问题那果然它底下有两个问题第一个问题是 can water expire 水会不会这个过期。那如果细心点的可能会注意到说你看我们的标题是讲 Does water expire 但这里为什么会变成 Can water expire 呢那当然用 does 用 can 都可以，但他们意思不太一样。 does 只是一个一般的现在式，就是它会不会这样子但如果说用 can 的话呢 can 这个助动词大家就记得它的 central meaning 就是 potential有没有这个可能。所以当你说 can water expire 就是水有没有可能会过期呢，但是你如果问说 does water expire 就是水会不会过期。好，然后下面一个他说 Isn't water always safe to drink？ 水不是永远都是安全的，那个 to drink 表示目的，放在 safe 后面表示做什么安全呢？它的目的是什么的话，安全呢就是你如果拿来喝的话是安全的，所以 Isn't water always safe to drink？
So while there is no technical expiration date for water, the issue of it being unsafe to drink stems from its method of storage. So while something is true, something else is also true. That's the format of this sentence. So while something is true, it's true that water doesn't expire. That technically, water doesn't expire. There is no technical expiration date. By technical, we mean... it's kind of funny. We use to mean there's no rules about it or there's no science that we know about it. It's actually not that precise, but we mean that we're not getting that precise. We don't want to talk about whether technically you can break the law or not. We just don't want to break the law. We're not talking about technically whether water expires or not because the issue is actually different. So when you say something like technical or technically, the speaker is like, let's not talk about this. It's not. These are small details that are not important. So what is important here? The issue of it being unsafe to drink, whether or not the water is good, stems from or comes from its method of storage. So the water itself is probably still good, but the thing you stored it in makes all the difference. And so when I was growing up, my dad was always like, if we're going on a trip, we got to put it in glass or metal. Those are the two acceptable ways to store water on a trip. And we did have plastic jugs of water, but that was for washing or whatever. Because, and we'll find out, plastic is not really an ideal long-term place to put water in.
OK, 好，那我们这里看到他说 while 就是虽然 there is no technical expiration date， 这个 technical 就我们翻成技术上，但是这个刚刚 Angela 老师解释了，就是在英文里面当我们用到 technical 的时候呢，常常它的暗示的意思就是它没有说非常精确去这个排除所有的可能或者包括所有的可能甚至于他有点觉得就是这个其实不是那么重要，重点在后面要讲的东西所以在这个地方 technical 在中文大概很难翻出来你如果要翻大概也只能翻技术上所以在技术上面呢，水是没有所谓的过期的日子的没有那种有效期限的，但是呢 the issue of it being the issue of it就是指现在这里的问题其实真正的是什么样，是这个 being unsafe to drink所以就这 it 就指 water， 所以水它会 being unsafe to drink 会喝起来不安全，这个问题在哪里呢这个 issue 这个问题在哪里呢？如果水喝起来不安全的问题是 stems from 就是来自于comes from 或者 to be caused by 来自于它的 method of storage 它储存的方式，所以水本身技术上是没有什么有效期限的，重点在它的储存方式。
If stored properly, and now we find out what proper storage is, in a sanitized container, tap water normally can be kept for up to 6 months. Now, sanitized means very, very clean. There is little or no chance that germs or other kinds of pollutants are in the water and can stay in the water. And so you can keep, say, a bottle of water, a glass bottle of water, a big one, for up to 6 months. They suggest that you don't keep it longer than that.
好，所以他说 if stored 就是被储存， if stored properly 如果被储存的很适当那储存在哪里呢？储存在一个 sanitized container 一个消毒过的容器sanitized 在这里就是指消毒过的那个字跟那个 SAN 是 healthy 的意思，所以像我们讲这个卫生的可以另外一个跟它同一个字根的字sanitary SANITARY 好，所以他说水如果储存在一个消毒过的容器里面那这样子的话，这个 tap water 其实就是前面的 if stored 那个的省略掉的主词，所以它其实说如果 tap water 自来水能够储存在一个消毒过的容器里面的话那通常怎么样 normally 一般正常状况下它可以 can be kept 它可以被保存 for 多少时间呢？ for up to 6 months 最高可达6个月。
And so the situation of water stored in plastic bottles might differ a little, though. This though is emphasizing notice this. This is not going to be the same thing. So yeah, you can store water a long time. You can store it up to 6 months and it'll be okay. Except if you've stored it in plastic. So stored in plastic bottles might differ Differ from what? Differ from other containers. It's implied that there's other containers besides plastic to store water in, and it might differ from those conditions might be different.
OK, 所以 the situation 状况，什么状况呢 ？Of water 水，那这种是什么样的水呢？是 stored in plastic bottles， 储存在塑胶瓶里面的水。好，那它们的状况怎么样 ？Might 可能会 differ a little， 就是有一点点不同，叫做 differ a little。那个 differ 在这里是不及物动词哈。那 though 就是不过，好，所以它这一句话就是不过呢，你如果是储存在塑胶瓶里面的水，那情况呢可能就有点不一样了。
It is necessary to refer to the label and not drink it beyond its expiration date. So this sentence cautions us. It gives us some important health advice. Look at bottles of water, no matter what they are packed in, especially if they're plastic, though. Make sure that you do not drink it beyond the expiration date, which means later than the expiration date.
好，所以 it is necessary to do something， 就是一定要这样做。做什么呢 ？Refer to the label. Refer to 就是参考或者看，你一定要看一看这个 the label 标签，然后呢 ，not drink it， 不要喝这个水哈。Beyond its expiration date，beyond 是超过，所以如果已经过期，就叫做 beyond its expiration date。如果已经过期了，那就不要喝。
This is because the plastic can leak into the water.And contaminate it with chemicals. Plastic is simply not as stable a material as metal or glass. I mean, metal can also leak into the water over time. So honestly, glass is your best long-term solution. But even then, with glass, you've got the issue of the cap. What are you sealing it with?
Yeah, 好，所以它 this is because 这是因为 the plastic 就是塑胶这种东西呢，它可以怎么样？可以 leak into the water 哈，而且The plastic 不但是指塑胶这种东西，而且它在这里其实指的是 the plastic in the plastic bottle 在这个塑胶罐里面的这个塑胶可以 leak into 可以漏到水里面去，然后呢 contaminate it 会污染它。用什么污染它呢 ？You contaminate something with something else 所以你用 chemicals 化学物质会污染到这个水。
If one regularly consumes plastic polluted water, it can impact one's well-being.By harming gut health, immunity, and respiratory functions. Whoa.
That's a lot.
Yeah. This is why you should not consume or use or swallow or drink plastic polluted water.
And that's also why Taiwanese people putting hot soup in plastic bags to take it for Wai Dai for years was actually a very bad practice.
For the reason that the heat can, you can say, dissolve some of the plastic, and plastic is not a natural material. And so it can have harmful effects. Gut health. Gut refers to your intestines. After the stomach, food goes into your big intestine and then the little intestine. Immunity is your ability to keep diseases at bay, to keep them away from you.Respiratory functions. You may have trouble actually breathing if you have these harmful chemicals in your system.
好，所以呢 if one 如果有一个人 regularly 就是固定地甚至于它可以表示 very often 的意思。你如果常常 consumes 饮用 plastic polluted water 就是受塑胶污染的水，那 it can impact 或者 impact 这里是动词它可以影响或者冲击你的 well-being， 在这里指的是身体健康。怎么样冲击呢 ？By 透过 harming， 它会伤害你的 gut health， 你消化道或者肠道的健康。Gut 就是消化道或者肠道。那 immunity 是免疫力刚刚 Bruce 老师用了一个片语keep something at bay B-A-Y to keep something at bay 就是不要让它侵犯到你把它隔得远远的意思。好，然后呢，同时会伤害到你的这个 respiratory functions， 就是呼吸的功能。
In order to prevent any bacterial growth or chemical buildup in plastic water bottles, it is best to keep them out of warm places that get a lot of sunlight. So we'll find out why in a second. But warm places is bad for water, and sunlight, just about anything, any kind of food item, it's bad to keep them in a warm, sunny place. Right. Warm, sunny places is how you encourage things to grow. That's where you put plants.
Yeah, 好，所以呢，我们可以看到 in order to 为了要 prevent 避免任何的 bacterial 就是细菌的 growth 成长，你要避免细菌成长，或者是 chemical build up chemical 就是化学物质的这个 build up 就是增加或累积。好，在 plastic water bottles 在这个塑胶的水瓶里面，好，所以为了避免塑胶水瓶里面的这个细菌的成长或者是化学物质的增加或者累积，好，It is best to 最好要 keep something out of 就是不要让它们进入或者是碰到什么东西，所以这个 them 就是指这个 plastic water bottles 你要让这些塑胶水瓶呢不要碰到或者不要放在 keep them out of warm places 那些温暖的地方 that gets 或者是 that get a lot of sunlight 就是它会受到很多阳光照射的地方不好。
Heat allows bacteria to grow, as our resident scientist Angela reminded us, and chemicals to escape into the water. It's sort of, by heating them up, they start to move, vibrate, and they can actually escape or leave the form that they were in.
好，所以 heat allows 热让两件事情发生。第一件事情 allows bacteria to grow 让细菌成长，然后呢同时会让这个 chemicals allow chemicals 或者 allows chemicals 允许这些化学物质会 escape into the water 脱逃进入这个水中。
So placing water bottles out of direct sunlight. Definitely you need to take it out of the sunlight. And in a cool area, ideally also in a cool place, is a healthy storage technique, not only for water, but for all of your edible things.
好，所以不止水这样，食物一般来讲都是这样子。你要怎么样？你要 placing 在这里讲是 water bottles 水瓶要 out of direct sunlight 就是不要让它受到阳光直射，叫做 placing something out of direct sunlight 而且你要把它放在怎么样 in a cool area 放在凉爽的地方，这是一个 healthy 很有益健康的很健康的 storage technique 就是储存的方式。
As if we needed it, here is still another reason to not drink water that's been in plastic bottles for a long time. They are also permeable, meaning substances from the outside are able to go through the plastic. Think of bubbles, tiny, tiny billions of little bubbles, and chemicals can actually work their way through all that material, which is how plastic is composed. So bad things that you would think at first, well, it's okay to put my plastic bottle here, nothing can happen to it, but that's wrong. At a very, very fine level, a microscopic level, chemicals can go through the plastic or permeate the plastic.
所以呢，他说 plastic bottles 这个塑胶瓶呢 are also 它也是 permeable 就是可以渗透的，外面东西可以渗入进去的，里面当然也可以渗透出来的啊。那 permeable 它解释一下 meaning 所谓 permeable 的意思就是呢 substances from the outside 外面的这些物质呢 are able to 它可以 go through 它可以穿透 the plastic 这个塑胶。
So, with this piece of information in mind, that your water bottles are permeable, that stuff can get in through the plastic, think about it. It is safer to store water away from cleaning supplies. Otherwise, that stuff is going to go straight into your water. If you can smell it when you open your cupboard, that means that the cleaning supply stuff is coming out into the air. Because that's why you can smell it. So if you can smell it, it's going into your water bottles. Do not store your water next to your cleaning products, just full stop. Or any other chemical products. Water and chemicals do not go in the same place.
所以他说 with this information in mind 就是知道这一点，有了这一点消息知识之后呢 it is safer to 这件事情是比较安全的。什么事情比较安全呢？你要 store water away from 你要储存水的时候要远离 cleaning supplies 就是这个清洁用品啊，还有呢要远离其他的 chemical products 化学产品。
If the water has developed a strange look, taste, or smell, you should either boil it before drinking or discard it. Here's a hint, discard it.
Yeah, 还是丢的比较好啊。所以他说如果这个水呢 has developed 它已经发展出已经变成了一个 strange 怪怪的啊，这个 look外观很怪，或者是 strange taste 它味道很怪，或者是 它 developed a strange smell， 它有一个很怪的气味。那你呢，要么就是 boiled it before drinking， 喝以前一定要煮沸，或者是 discarded， 干脆就直接丢弃了。discard 就是丢弃。
So we have some questions here for you about the article to find out, were you actually listening? So our question number 1 is, according to the passage, which of the following statements is true?
根据本文，以下叙述何者为真？
And the answer is C. Water that tastes strange is best discarded. The article said that if you're going to drink it, you should at least boil it first, but we feel like...
We all feel
that, honestly, if you really have no other choice, boil it first. But if you have another choice, don't drink that water.
Yeah, 好，所以呢，我们选 C 这个答案。好，味道怪怪的水呢，最好丢掉。好，那我们文章里面有说，当然你可以煮着之后再喝，好，但是我们都觉得那个其实是，除非全世界就剩下那一瓶水，
Yeah.
不然的话，
Yeah.
好，或者除非你就只有那一个水啊，不喝那个没有别的喝，不然的话还是丢掉啊，因为煮不一定能够把那里面的这个有害物质把它清除掉。
Okay, our second question. What is the second paragraph mainly about?
第二段的主旨是什么？
The main idea is B, why tap water and bottled water are not always safe to drink.
好，那答案是 B， 为什么自来水和瓶装水不是一定可以安全饮用？
And number 3, Danny bought a carton of bottled water for emergencies. So what's a carton? You can buy a carton of milk, and that's like a box with milk in it. But here we have a carton of bottled water. So the water's already in bottles. So that means it's a box of bottles. So it could be like 4, it could be 10,
8,
it could be 20,
12.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
A carton of bottled water is a box of bottles. And so which of the following is the best way for him to store the water? Now remember, bottled water is generally in plastic. So let's assume these are plastic bottles.
好，所以题目说 Danny 买了一箱瓶装水，好，以准备紧急的时候的需求。那以下何者是他最好的储存方式，好，储水方式？那记得这个 bottled water 通常是用塑胶瓶装的。
And the answer is D. Keep the water in a place with cool temperatures and out of the sunlight.
好，答案是 D， 把水放在阴凉或者低温的地方。
Okay, hope you enjoyed and learned something important from our lesson today. Join us again whenever you can. Until the next time.
Bye-bye.